Welcome back to BlerdOut, where we turn innovation into a vibe. I'm your host, Terrence Southern, and today we're diving deep into the dynamic world of gaming. But before we do that, let's check out the kicks. We got the Enzo Blades, black-owned company. Enzo.
Confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time, saying I can't get better.
Our guest is none other than the incredible Brandon Stennis, an award-winning Twitch partner and trailblazer in the gaming industry. Brandon, it's fantastic to have you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing very well, man. We're going to get right into it. Man, I'm excited about this conversation, just the whole topic of gaming, right? You know, because when you think gaming, like, oh, I play video games, but gaming seems like a whole nother level, right? So just get started, tell our audience where you're from and how you got started into the world of gaming.
Yeah. So, hi, my name is Brandon. So basically, I'm from Chicago. How I started gaming was like from a very young age. I used to play video games all the time with my brothers. We used to play like the Sega Genesis, PlayStation, Xbox. And gaming just has always been a part of my entire life ever since I was a kid. And so as I grew older, I kind of never grew out of it because I really found like a really great passion in video games. And then when I graduated college, I kind of pursued it to want to do it professionally and try to get into the gaming industry because it was something I always wanted to do. Like since I was like in eighth grade, I had the dreams of like working for Nintendo. I didn't know what that meant and how to do it, but it was something that was just always on my mind. And then to be able to, at this age, to be like, I've done a lot of stuff for gaming has been pretty cool. So
yeah. You have the career and the experience that every young boy dreams of, right?
Yeah.
So let's take us back to like your early days when you began UGR gaming. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so as a lot of young, fresh out of college people are looking for a job, that's what I was up to, and I graduated with general studies from Northern Illinois, and I wanted to become a journalist, and so that's what my biggest thing was. But when I was applying for jobs, I kept getting the same note back, basically saying like, well, we would love to hire you, but you don't have like an online resume of work that we can look at. And so that's one thing I learned. I should have been doing internships, but you're nowhere there. So at the time I was playing a lot of video games, and this was around the time where I really got into online gaming a lot. So I was playing a lot of Call of Duty with friends like late at night. And so I decided that I wanted to start a blog and basically write about video games that like really didn't get a lot of attention because like, there's a lot of indie games out there that don't get all the necessary just recognition because like they sometimes get overshadowed by the AAA titles. And so that's kind of how I started. And then it turned into news and reviews because I was really inspired by IGN, who does like a lot of gaming news and all that kind of stuff. So I basically started up ugrgaming.com and I started posting my articles on social media. And then people started coming to read off of my website, which is pretty crazy because like, I was just really small person just like writing about video games. And then from there, a lot of people who were coming to the website started asking like, hey, do you have like, can I get a job working with you? And it's just me at this point. So I was like very shy, but shocked that people wanted to work with me. So I started to bring in a team of people. And then I became the editor-in-chief of the website. And we together, like we started a podcast based upon like the website that we had. And then just started going to different conventions covering news. Our very first convention that we went to was at PAX East in Boston. So it was the first time I ever got to travel outside of Chicago and got to do really cool things. And it was supposed to be a stepping stone for everybody who was involved to get into the gaming industry because like at the time I started, it wasn't that easy. And it wasn't like you can just stream on Twitch and that's how it does, like how it happens. So I wanted to pave my own way for myself and then for everybody else who was working with me to have our little step in the door. And I'm really glad to say a lot of the people who I worked with in the past, like a lot of them are working in the industry as well, which is pretty cool. So Yeah, it was just like an idea I had based upon, my passion for video games and wanting to write about it, and then, utilizing social media to get it out there, and then basically kind of turning that into my own professional work and getting into the gaming industry, which was pretty wild to say, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. No, man. I mean, you're totally a game changer. Like
Yeah.
that's an amazing story. I wasn't sure that I didn't realize that all that happened and how it
Yeah.
happened is really amazing. I'm sure it's going to inspire somebody else. So, I mean, with that coming, like, you were winning the best new streaming broadcaster award for a game Radar Golden Joysticks Award in 2020. That's a significant achievement. Like that had to been really special. Like, can you share what that impact of that type of recognition did for you and what it's done for the gaming industry?
Yeah, honestly, I was really I was shocked I was nominated first of all, and then two, I didn't think I was gonna win because most of the people who were in the same category as me, like I knew most of the people who were nominees as well, and they were all great people. Everybody like has their own right, but I didn't think I would win it, and so I just kind of like put it out there, like, hey, if you want to vote for me, or if, feel free. You don't have to. It's not necessary. And then when they told me that I won it, I was shocked. And then from there, it's just been really cool to see, it being recognized even still to this day that like, technically it was the first award I ever won, especially in gaming. And it just makes me really proud of all the work that I have been putting in for like almost for 10 years. And when I started, like, especially streaming on Twitch, like I did not see people who looked like me in the gaming streaming space. And so I wanted to provide that kind of, I guess, recognition for somebody else who was coming behind me to see somebody who looked like them on the screen and doing these kind of things. And the award just, it sits in my bedroom because I like to look at it. But it's just really cool to see all the work that I put in, and I really have worked really hard to just make sure that people who come behind me don't have to deal with the same kind of struggles that I did coming up in gaming, because it can be kind of toxic sometimes. And sometimes, especially like trying to be in this kind of internet kind of space, you get attacked from all sorts of people from all kinds of just different things. Yeah. So there are days I wanted to quit. And when I look at the award, it reminds me of, all those times that I wanted to quit because I didn't think I could handle it. It was worth going through those trials and tribulations just to get through it, because if I would have quit early on, I would not be sitting in front of you today. So yeah, it was worth all the troubles, I would say.
No, brother, you are celebrated. That's amazing. No, I love that. And so would you say that the fruits of your labor have harvested? The harvest is growing now, like those, young black, young boys and girls who look up to you now and following your footsteps. Like, have you seen that happen now?
Yeah, it's so wild. Like, especially when I go to different events and in-person events, and I don't think of myself as anything. I just like walk around, but like especially in the conventions where it's like gaming related, I'll walk around and people will come up to me and be like, "Oh my God, you're Brandon!" Like I follow you on TikTok or I follow you on Twitch, and it's wild to me that people recognize me. It's happened in person in Chicago, like people coming up to me like in public places, and it's nice to know that I'm being recognized, because when you're doing stuff online, you don't know who is actually watching it. Right. So like I do my gaming videos and I post them on the internet, but you don't always get to know if someone's enjoying it or if people are liking the content. And then having that like feedback from somebody in person really shows me that like, okay, I am doing something good, and it is inspiring other people, which is that's all I want to do, is help other people see the kind of goals that they can set for themselves and try to achieve them like I did.
Got it. So how did the switch of platforms from the website to Twitch, like what was that like for you, and how was the connecting with the gaming community different?
Yeah. So that was kind of funny because it kind of taught me a little bit about marketing when it came to that. So originally when I started streaming on Twitch, one of the staff members who was working on UGR, he actually started a Twitch account just to kind of like have all the different social medias, just to make sure all the, we had all the names of UGR on all the social media so no one could take it and then like use it for something else. And so he was streaming on there, and I had never heard of Twitch, but like I had like a capture card, like a really old capture card that we use for a review on the website. Mm-hmm. And so he was starting to get followers on the UGR Gaming Twitch page. And he was basically like, I feel bad, like, having followers come in here. And it's like, this is for all of us. So I'm going to go start my own like Twitch channel. And so that kind of left like the Twitch channel with no one streaming on it. And so I was like, well, I am the editor in chief. I'll try to do it so we can get some followers. So because I was thinking that if we got followers on Twitch, it would make readers for the website, which I learned that you can't really promote a website like that on Twitch. It doesn't work like that. It's more about personality. And so I just started going on there and playing like old games that I used to love, like Resident Evil. And then people would come in and they really enjoyed my personality and kind of like my weird off the beat humor, which I didn't really see that coming. And then it kind of grew from there. And then I was seeing like people coming in like more. At first it started like 5 people were in there. Then it was like 10, then 20, then 30. And then at one point I remember when I hit like 100 viewers, like I was playing Grand Theft Auto. I still have a picture of it somewhere. And then like it got to 200. I was like freaking out because I was really shocked about how many people were just like in there watching me do what I was doing. And then from there I was like, okay, you know what? I really want to make this a thing because I really enjoy streaming. I really enjoy Twitch. I really want to make this into something I want to do. And so I learned about like partnership and how, if you got a Twitch partner, like you can get all these perks and all these kind of things. And as soon as I found that out, I like worked just worked really hard to try to make sure I hit Twitch partner. I did the first panel, one of my first panels at TwitchCon, the very first TwitchCon, talking about like broadcasting on a budget, because when I first started, I really was like, I didn't have the money to spend on all this equipment. So I was using like really, cheap techniques to make a really good impression at the time. But it was just like, I worked really hard to try to make sure I became a Twitch partner. And then that same year that I became a Twitch partner, literally days after, I got my very first industry job working for a company called XSplit. So if you know what XSplit is, they do, it's a broadcasting software that you could record or stream. And I was using it at the time, I was streaming on Twitch. And so that's how I got my job, is because I was using the product. So I knew about it. So I was able to answer questions. So I became a Twitch partner, and then I started working as the US community manager for XSplit. And so that kind of opened up the door for me to be able to start working in the gaming industry. And it was a wild time for me because it was very unexpected, but it really changed my life into being able to go into the field that I always wanted to in my own kind of way, basically. Yeah.
Man, that's dope. I mean, all your dreams are coming true, and you sound like an expert on walking in through open doors that are just full of blessings for you. So that's amazing. I'm glad to hear that. So let's talk about another thing, like breaking stereotypes, and seems to be like a reoccurring part of your story. Can you elaborate on what stereotypes you faced getting into the gaming industry, and how have you actively changed, been changing those stereotypes and been challenged by them?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I was mentioning earlier, one of the hardships that I had faced back in the day, and still people do face, streaming on Twitch, are dealing with trolls, the internet trolls, and people coming in and saying racist stuff. And so I remember, like it was like within the first year I was streaming, like I dealt with like, a troll coming in and saying something racist to me every single day for like a good amount of time, where I got used to it. And I remember the one that really got me is I was playing this game called Fallout 3. I was playing it one time on stream, and somebody came in and said, what did they say? They said, I remember when Fallout 3 was for whites only, like in my chat out of nowhere. And when I read it, I had to shut off the stream, and I was just like, you know what? I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, I don't want to deal with constant harassment from people. Just like they see me and then they got to say something racist immediately. And I remember I was sitting there and I was like, I was ready to quit. I didn't want to do it anymore, because I was like, what is the point? Like, people are coming in here just saying what they want, and it's not making me feel good. And like, I have dealt with like racist situations in real life, but like dealing with it online and you don't even know who this person is. And it's just like, it got to me. But that same night I was just like, you know what, if I stop streaming, it's going to let them know that they won and they drove me off this platform. And that is not what I came to do. I haven't worked this hard to just be driven off the platform of some random person on the internet who's going to say something ignorant to me. So, you know what, I'm going to use this as motivation to still continue to stream, and I'm going to keep rising up, and they're going to have to deal with my face everywhere, because I'm not going to stop. And I've always throughout my entire career have used people doubting me or people being like negative towards me as motivation to like show them that like I'm not going anywhere, because that has always been something, because I've always had the odds against me, you know what I mean? Just in general, being a black man, being a LGBT person, I always have the double-edged sword, and no matter what I do. So it's like, you know what, if I'm going to deal with this, I'm going to make sure I'm going to show my best and do my best work to make sure that I have do what makes me happy. And gaming has been something that I have always loved and wanted to show representation of, just in general, because like, yeah, as I was growing up, I did not have that kind of representation to look at. So yeah, the motivation of just, I guess, negativity has always just pushed me to more positive situations in my life. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I'm motivated by the story there, and I just applaud you for having continue to have the emotional and mental strength to
Thank you.
persevere. That's not easy.
Yeah.
As many of us know who've gotten to this point, and I'm sure there's gonna be people who hear your story who also be moved by it, and give them the extra oomph that they need to keep going as well. Yeah, no, I
Hmm.
appreciate that. You talked about how navigating through this and the resilience that was required and how you just continued to move forward. And you've already shared, but, what would you say to a young person who's following in your footsteps, who's now, going through that same thing that you were challenged with?
Okay. I would say, I know it's very hard to like see negativity towards yourself online, because like, I've dealt with that. I've dealt with death threats. I've dealt with just all kinds of things of just me saying stuff on Twitter and people not liking my opinion and wanting to go the extra mile to try to hurt me. But the thing about it is that, like, if you have a dream and a passion for something, you can't allow someone to stop you from doing that, even if it's something that is they're going out of their way to try to make you feel bad about it. If you have a goal that you want to set, that you want to accomplish, don't allow people to bring you down and stop you from doing it. Because if I allowed the people who always doubted me and all that kind of stuff make me, I guess, just stop what I was doing, like I said, I would never be here doing what I love and being able to talk to my mom about it. And like, because I was literally talking to my mom the other day about it and saying like the reason why I'm in gaming is because she allowed us to be nerds. She allowed us to play video games as kids and like let us be who we were. And so it's been really cool to just like be able to share that with her. And just, yeah, if don't be afraid to be a nerd. I mean, I know a lot of stigma, especially when I was growing up, like being black and a nerd was not the cool thing, but now it's like everybody's like into anime, into video games, and like, just because you're into something like that, it doesn't mean it's a negative thing on you. It's just some people are just not open-minded to great art and great masterpieces like video games are.
Absolutely, and I mean, and you're on the perfect podcast here today, because for the
Yeah.
BlerdOut movement, that's what we're trying to do, is create that safe space for the intelligence and the cool to collide
Hmm.
and create a whole new vibe. So I'm glad that you shared that with us. I mean, like, so what's the role that you want to play going forward with the underrepresented population, not just the black and brown kids that are that you represent, but also the ones who are that very intelligent kid who speak the language of, well, I like doing cool things, and it's not sports, it's not rap, it's not this. It is, I like anime, I like gaming, but I can be cool and I can be smart at the same time. Like, what's the role that you want to play going forward?
Like I want to be that open door that like people see and want to be inspired to, follow in the same footsteps. Like my thing has always been like, I don't want to be the only one sitting at the table. Like I want everybody to have a seat, because like my success has not only just been because of me, it's been because I've worked and also supported, other black creatives and black streamers and all types of people just in general. And like, I just want to be that open door if anybody has a question or if they need guidance on all that kind of stuff, because that's where a lot of my early content came from, was giving streaming tips and advice to people if they needed it. Because like I said, like back in the day, like people were very hush hush about like Twitch partnership, like if like they were talking about it. There were a lot of people who were being very open about like how you can succeed on a platform, because it was very like, if a person was successful, they're gonna be living that success and they're not helping anybody else out. But I was always that person who was like, yeah, like, you know what, I work with this brand. I would love to talk to you about how you can do that too. Like, I don't want to be the only person only getting the shine. Like, everybody deserves to do it if they're doing the same kind of thing that I'm doing. So I just want to be that open door anchor, that if people have a question or, you know, need to follow it in kind of the vein of what I did, I'm that open book for you. So,
and for those who are trying to get into this career field, like, what is the pathway that they should be taking? Like, if you were going to be taking some young person, say, I want to get into gaming, like, what is the pathway? And they want to work for Brandon Stennis. Like, you know, how's that happen for somebody who's watching the podcast?
I mean, you could reach out to me on social media. Like, despite where it seems like I don't get that many messages. So if you want to say hi, feel free to like send me an email. I have that stuff. But just like in general of like kind of, I guess, starting in just like the gaming space, I feel like joining gaming communities has always been the greatest thing. Because like for me, when I was doing UGR gaming, I was working with a lot of esports teams and a lot of esports communities. Like, we were throwing different tournaments and all those kind of things, online tournaments. And so that was like my first experience, like working with online communities and you know, working with them to try to support each other in just in gaming, because like those small grassroots kind of organizations really do have people who are really passionate about what they're doing and taking it out there in the field to try to build it up even more. Like, I know there's a lot of really cool organizations in Chicago that do a lot of fighting game tournaments. I know there's Combo Breaker here and stuff like that. So if you're into those kind of genres, like, dive into it, do some research, you know. Like, if you're into, I guess, first person shooters, if you're into Overwatch, you know, look into how you can get into the Overwatch League or like an Overwatch gaming community and make new friends. I feel like that's one of the biggest things about why I love gaming, because you get to connect with people who have the same passions as you. They may not live in your same area, but you get to connect with somebody who can, you know, be your friend, and you can actually game with them and then possibly meet them in real life. Like, I've had plenty of people that I've met through Twitch that I got to meet them in real life, and we have that same great connection that we had like online. And it's just really cool to just like, I guess, be able to connect with people all over the world, no matter where you are, and be able to create those kind of relationships.
Excellent. So can you talk to us about how you created a business around the gaming you were doing? Like, I'm sure a lot of our audience members are going to be thinking like, all right, that's great, but how do you turn it into a business, right? How do you monetize what you're doing in the industry so that they can do exactly what you're doing as well?
Yeah, so I would say the number one strategy that I went with just in general was social media. That was the biggest platform that I used to just get my message out there and my content out there. I started off really early on making sure I diversified my content, because I wanted to make sure that I was spreading my content on all different platforms, because I realized it's like, you know, someone may be following you on like maybe on Twitter, but they may not follow you on Instagram. So you can't just assume that like, okay, well, I'm just putting all my content in one place and that's it. I wanted to try to reach as many audiences and widen my audience as much as possible. So, you know, I made sure I did YouTube videos and then also like posted on TikTok and on Instagram. And I'll say, the one thing I loved about just content creation is that you're always learning and growing. And so like, you know, I have been doing this for so long, but when I first started getting into TikTok, I didn't really understand it. And so I eventually got into it a little bit more and started posting more of my clips, because I had all these great clips that I had great moments from Twitch, and like just posting on Twitter. And then like, yeah, some of them would do good, but like, you know, I would just leave it on Twitter. Yeah. And then as soon as I started doing it on TikTok and really editing it for the TikTok audience, I really got to see a lot of great success. And I had like a few of my videos go viral, like hitting like 3 million plays and all that kind of stuff. And just like, it really showed me that like I need to make sure that I'm always like not staying in one kind of area when it comes to just like you know, creating content, because like there's always that new kind of platform that's out there, so it's worth to check out. And as soon as the TikTok viralness happened, I started to be like, okay, I get it. I should have been on this train a long time ago. I would have been seeing more success. And I will honestly say that TikTok has been the platform that has kept my fire with content creation, because doing Twitch for so long, it kind of can seem the same kind of thing. But then when you get to see a new audience liking the content that you're producing on a different platform, it really makes you want to continue like growing and making more content. So I definitely have had people come up to me in person and mention like the TikToks that I've done. So it's been pretty cool. So definitely diversify your content all over, like all platforms. I would say that's gonna be the most helpful thing, because it will definitely widen the audience that is watching your stuff. So make sure that you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you about that too, because I don't understand TikTok either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be calling you so I can get 3 million followers. That's amazing. Yeah. So Brandon, what is the end game for you? Like, what do you plan on accomplishing after this? Like, I mean, you've probably done more than you actually imagined you were going to do. Like, it sounds like all these things just happened on their own. You know, you prayed about it, you thought about it, you dreamed about it, and then it happened faster than you could even keep up with. But you're doing a great job. What's the next step, and what's the end game look like?
That is a deep question, because I feel like it changes a lot. But right now, I'm wanting to. Gaming is still a part of a lot of what I do right now, but I've been diving into more of the DJ space. So now it's like going into the music world as well.
Yeah.
So it's combining my knowledge from content creation and gaming into music, because I started DJing or learning how to do it in 2020, and so I basically streamed my process of learning how to DJ during quarantine, and I did like a lot of like just trial and error, and then it turned into me actually playing in live venues, and then playing at TwitchCon, and then playing in like just different places that I never thought I would be able to. So I'm still going to be doing the gaming stuff. So like having that gaming personality industry kind of asset to myself, and then also kind of being like, the DJ on the side. So I don't know. It's just a new venture for me, which is pretty cool. So I've always wanted to have just a faceted just environment to myself, so not just stuck in one thing, because I felt like I was put on this earth to, one, entertain, and then two, just do things that are not expected of me to do. So that's kind of how my life has been led in general. So
now you're doing
I don't know, the
well.
sky's the limit. I feel like I've been born again, and I feel like I'm really excited for this next chapter of my life, because I really feel like it's combining a lot of the success that I've had before, and then applying that to try to make it into a bigger thing, because I want to do more than just gaming. I want to do like entertainment. I want to do music, like I said. So we're just gonna try to keep moving on with as things are going, and try to make the best of it, basically. Yeah.
Right. That's amazing. Love it. So, last thing I got for you, like the platform that you're on and where you've reached, it's just amazing. Like I'm really moved by your story. Where do you see the future of diversity and inclusion for gaming going? And if it isn't headed in that direction, what needs to happen to take it in that direction?
I think I will say there is always work that needs to be done in representation for just POC in general in gaming, because there is always still, like, you'll hear these stories of like, a game is coming out with a female Black character, and the comments are full of people just like being just racist or saying something sexist or something like that. And I feel like the more that we're out there showing that are in gaming and being a part of this industry and in this field, the more that people will lessen the hate and the harassment of people of color in general, because like I said, like, I'm not going anywhere. I love video games, so no one's gonna stop me from playing my game. No one's gonna stop me from streaming. No one's gonna stop me from making my way throughout the gaming industry. And so I'm like taking more of a I'm currently taking more of a role of like trying to represent, creators and streamers, and try to help them, get brand deals and opportunities within the gaming space, because that's where my passion lies, is working with creators, because I've always been a person who wants to support other streamers, other content creators, because that is where my heart is. It's just like content creation has been something that has changed my life, and then sharing that and sharing people's ability to see, what they can unlock in themselves to like make their dreams come true. That's what I've always wanted. So
your passion for the gaming industry is definitely felt, and I know somebody who's gonna, there's somebody out there who needs to hear all of this. I'm ready to go into gaming, and the games that you named, I don't know any of them except Grand Theft Auto. That's the only one I'm familiar with, so that's exciting. I mean, how about this? Can you let our audience know how can they follow you and the work that you're doing and keep in touch?
Yeah, so I'm on social media, and most of it is at I Am Brandon TV. So that's on Twitter/X now, Instagram at I Am Brandon TV, YouTube I have it on there, Twitch is just I Am Brandon. Luckily, I just got that one. And then I have my website. So if you want to see any of my past work, it's on iambrandon.tv. So you can see like just any kind of things you want to see about me is there. Also, if you want to contact me, my email is in there too as well. So you can fill out a form, reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has and make you laugh with my content, because that's what I make it for. It's for people's entertainment. So come and check it out.
All right. That was all we have for you, man. This was a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm deeply moved.
Thank you.
I don't know much about gaming. I got friends who used to play like Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
And they stay up all night, and then they were late for work. But I realized it's a big thing. It's not my thing. I just play Madden, and that's it. So that's about as far as I go. But this has been a great conversation, man. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the BlerdOut podcast. You can find us on www.blerdout.com. Make sure to follow us on social media. Thank you.
Confidence, yeah. It really shouldn't be no arguments, 'cause you're now viewing the greatest of all time.